David Menzies for Rebel News here at Toronto's Pearson International Airport. Well, folks, if you've been tuning into Rebel News lately, you've noticed that I've been coming here almost every day, just trying to find out if indeed any enhanced screening measures have been implemented to deal with the coronavirus and to basically prove or disprove that what our authorities are telling us, what our politicians are telling us is true. And if you've tuned into any of those reports, you have noticed I've received a mixed bag that many of the things we've been told are being done are not being done, or certainly are not being done on a consistent basis. Now, as part of my missions here, I've reached out to Canadian Border Service agents just to get their side of the story, find out what's happening on the front lines. And typically the response is to either run away or to say no comment or to direct me to the Media Communications Department of CBSA. So I did reach out to the CBSA Media Relations Department, and I made note of the fact that I've been trying to get the agent's perspective on the situation here at Pearson. And I got to tell you, I did get a response back from Miss Rebecca Purdy of CBSA, and it started out a little terse, to tell you the truth. She said, "Please note, you do not have permission to film on CBSA property, nor approach Border Services officers for interviews." I didn't know I needed permission. And by the way, what is CBSA property? It's an international airport. It's pretty dead right now, as you can no doubt understand, folks. But certainly I didn't venture into any offices of CBSA. There's one behind me. You can see the sign. And even though it doesn't say no admittance, I've been respectful enough not to go there. So maybe that's what she means. In any event, let's dissect some other elements of my Q&A with Ms. Purdy, and you tell me if this lives up to your sniff test. Okay, so one of my questions to Ms. Purdy is the fact, why is it that there doesn't seem to be any remote temperature devices being used when it comes to screening passengers? We have found 0% of the people we've interviewed saying they noticed that they had their temperature taken, or they saw anyone else having their temperature taken. And Ms. Purdy writes, "The SARS outbreak in 2003 taught us that temperature checks at airports are not an effective measure to prevent the introduction of infectious disease across borders." Well, naturally, my follow-up question is, well, if that's the case, why is it that so many other countries, ranging from Pakistan to the epicenter, China, are screening people this way? And Ms. Purdy told me to, ask those other countries. I also asked Ms. Purdy the following question. What is the policy for anyone arriving in Canada right now who claims refugee status? And what is the policy if that person is showing symptoms of COVID-19? And Ms. Purdy's response was this, quote, "For your question on asylum seekers, I can tell you that all individuals, regardless of how they arrive in Canada, are screened for COVID-19, end quote. Well, folks, I don't know if that's really a satisfactory answer to you. It's not to me. Yeah, sure, they might be screened or tested, but then what? Are they put on a plane back to where they came from? Or are they brought into one of Justin Trudeau's refugee hotels? I'm not given the full answer. So that makes me raise a Spockian eyebrow, to say the least. Now, another question to Ms. Purdy was this. Are arrivals always verbally told by agents that they must self-quarantine immediately for 14 days, meaning that when they leave the airport, they cannot even stop for gas or groceries? Or are they merely told to read a pamphlet? And Ms. Purdy sent me reams of documentation in terms of what the border guards are supposed to say to passengers and are presumably saying. But that's the thing, folks. if you've tuned into any of my reports, you notice it's very hit and miss. Sometimes there's a verbal warning or there's verbal instructions about what to do and what not to do. Other times it's merely just given a pamphlet. And the third thing is, given that international rivals are coming in from all over the world still, even during this pandemic crisis, there are people who do not read and do not understand English. Many of the people getting off flights from China were in that boat. So even if these people are being told in English or French what to do and what not to do, are they absorbing any of it? Because I frankly doubt there are any border agents on staff who are proficient in Mandarin or Cantonese. And another question I wanted to ask this senior spokeswoman at CBSA was the following. Our health minister, Patricia Hajdu, last week claimed that asymptomatic passengers were being given masks by CBSA agents, yet I have found absolutely no evidence of that from the people I've interviewed coming from international destinations. And Ms. Purdy responded with the following: as also mentioned, masks are being provided to symptomatic travelers. See, folks, not asymptomatic, as the health minister said, but symptomatic travelers. I will refer you to our previous response for more information. So, did the health minister make a mistake when she said asymptomatic? Did she mean to say symptomatic? Well, I can tell you, folks, I reached out several days ago to the health minister's office via email with questions about what exactly she said or what exactly she meant. And I am still waiting a response from the health minister. Funny that, wasn't this supposed to be the most transparent government in Canadian history when I think of what Justin Trudeau said way back in 2015? And speaking of masks, I also had a follow-up question to Ms. Purdy, if I could just take a photograph of their supply of masks, because quite frankly, I don't think this supply actually exists. I think we emptied the cupboard back in February when Justin Trudeau inexplicably sent our supply of masks to the epicenter, China. And I have not received a response. And I shrug my shoulders. Why not? I'm not violating anyone's privacy rights. I'm just taking a photograph, or I'm seeking to take a photograph of an inanimate object. But basically, by the non-response, I think the unspoken response is, trust us, they're there, they're being handed out. Well, folks, maybe they are, maybe they aren't, but what do you believe? And what do you think about the way the CBSA is indeed handling this global pandemic health crisis? Personally, I'm not impressed. For Rebel News, I'm David the Menzoid Menzies. Hey folks, unlike the Justin Trudeau-funded media party, we don't receive a nickel of government funding, nor would we take it if offered. That's why we depend on you, our viewers, for support. If you can, please visit helprebelnews.com. That's helprebelnews.com. And if you can kick in a couple of bucks, even during these dark times in which we reside, we would be very grateful so that we can continue to bring you the other side of the story.